Selling in the billions each year, Rainbow Mealworms is your one-stop shop for all your insect needs. Their quality feeders and A-plus customer service keep me coming back to support the health and growth of all of our animals. Visit them today at rainbowmealworms.net to place your order. What is going on, everybody? Frank the Geeky Gecko here today with John Galvan of Extreme Dragons AZ. Check him out, extremedragonsaz.com, if you do need a bearded dragon. So pretty cool episode that we have to look forward to today. So John, how you doing? Anything that you'd like to open up with? Any thoughts or anything?
Doing good. Thank you for having me here. No, just super excited. You know, we're mid-season, so a lot of work, a lot of cool stuff. So just excited.
Yeah, we'll definitely talk about that cool stuff. So if you guys can, anybody in the chat, let me know if my sound is bad or his sound is bad, and we can make little adjustments along the way. But I appreciate it, though. So last that we let me look at my little planner here, because there was it's always nice to get to know the person a little bit. If you guys don't know what John works with, you can see the quality of his creations of bearded dragons is kind of what he's known for. On Instagram and Facebook, Extreme Dragons AZ. But getting to know the person behind the business a little bit. Have you always been into reptiles, or like were you hunting reptiles as a kid? What's your story on?
Yeah, man. I grew up in California, so we used to get just random lizards here and there. So even as a kid, I always liked catching them and trying to keep them, but it wasn't always successful. But yeah, I've always been into them ever since I was a kid, and I tried a bunch of different stuff. You know, I started with back then they were like $1, those feeder anoles, but I used to try to keep them as pets, and then I graduated to like iguanas and other stuff that, you know, I try to keep them from time to time. So.
All right. So I got a little feedback on the mic, and I think what might be happening is the echo in the room. Do you have like earbuds or anything you can by chance like plug into the iPod? If not, or headphones, like wireless or wired?
I do, but I don't. They won't connect to this.
To the iPod.
Yeah.
You could connect it to your phone. It wouldn't be an issue. We were having pretty good connection on your phone. If you're able to, just because the sound is a little bit choppy, a little, but we can hear.
Let's try it here. So.
Yeah. So you got your phone there.
You want me to leave on this one and join on the other?
Yeah. So yeah. Do that. Just leave on this one, join on your phone, and then if you have like mic or something you could plug into the phone.
All right.
That'd be
awesome. Let me leave, and then I'll go grab my headphones and I'll come right back.
Okay, thanks, dude. See you in a sec.
All right.
All right, guys. So I'm really excited. You know, I've known John for a few years out here now. I'm obviously more on the leopard gecko side of things, but our first red tegu came from John, and that's really when I got to know John more. Went over his house, saw what he's working with and the operation that he's got going on. And we'll get into it with him, but he's been doing it for about maybe 8 or 9, maybe 10 years on the breeding the bearded dragons, and he's really well known for his red bearded dragons. So we could definitely show off some of his stuff real quick while he is MIA. Let's see here. We'll do a little screen share. And we'll go Extreme Dragons AZ. Oh, there he is. That was fast, dude.
Yeah.
Nice. You know what's weird is it seems like even the quality on the phone might be better. It might have been that because you logged out and logged in. Sometimes that helps. But
really?
Yeah, dude, your sound is good now. Because I was hearing the same thing too, and I was wondering if the audience was. But sounds good to me. Chat, let me know if his sound sounds good. Do you mind turning the camera sideways again? Are you able to do that?
Yeah.
All right, awesome. I was just about to show off some of your um, creations here. Now, real quick, there's this weird glitch in the app that when I show your Instagram right now, it's gonna make you echo when you talk. So you could talk if you want, but like it's sometimes it's really annoying to yourself to like listen to yourself echoing. Um, and so if you want to wait until I come off of the Instagram page to like comment on what I say or something, but I was just gonna show your Instagram here real quick just so people can kind of get an idea of what you're working with. Oh, look at that promotion for this stream right here. That's pretty cool. Um, so this was, I think, one of the newer things that I saw you add this year was kind of this like blackish, reddish bearded dragon line. Is that newer to your collection, and is that newer to the hobby in general, or have you always had that?
So it's those right there, those dark red ones that almost look black. That's
Yeah.
a line that's been in the United States for about, I would say like 3 years, I would say. And my good friend Jordan with Ruby Reptiles, he imported those and produced some nice clutches last season, and those are babies from him, from his
His pairings.
clutches. So
That's really
I've
cool.
just, yeah, I've just raised them up, and now they're, adults, semi-adults, sub-adults.
Now, I had this conversation with actually Robbie from Robbie's Reptiles, who also imports some like crested geckos and stuff from Korea.
Yeah,
It almost seems like the quality of what they have overseas, like in Europe and Asia, it hits them first before it comes to America. So do you think that that's because mainly like the importation, or they've been around in the hobby longer, or based on your experience, why do you think that maybe like a lot of the animals over there almost seem like they're at a better quality level than like what people are doing in the States, you know?
I, that's a tough question. I've thought about that quite a bit. But as far as like the dark reds, I mean, I'm thinking that they focused a lot more on just the reds, because they didn't really start working with zeros and wiblets, and citrus aren't too popular over there. Some other morphs aren't big over there, but the reds seem to dominate,
Really?
the market over there. So I feel that a lot of the quality that they're putting out is because they focus more on red than any
Yeah.
other morph. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that makes sense. I think they just breed in such mass numbers that you're bound to get the quality when you do that.
Hmm.
Um, I don't know. There's a lot of maybe sometimes frowning in the American hobby when you breed in mass numbers just for quality and maybe kind of like discard ones along the way to get that quality. But I feel like
Yeah.
maybe the Asian countries and the European countries, they kind of live, every country lives by different morals and values.
Yeah.
America's only been around a few hundred years, but those countries been around for thousands of years. They have way higher population densities than us. They've had to make like different ethical decisions than America has had to make. So like what they eat dogs and stuff, right? So like what they're comfortable with is way different than
Yeah.
what would be frowned upon in
Yeah.
America.
So
But
and that's yeah, that's another topic. Like our ethics here, we're scrutinized to a higher level. We do it to ourselves. We kind of hold each other to a higher level of how could I say it, like ethics. Like what's
husbandry for the
ethical.
animals
Yeah,
is, yeah.
husbandry. So if they do a little bit of line breeding, we might think, hey, that's not that's not ethical. Don't line breed, but they do it, and they have
And they get,
success with it.
yeah.
You know what
Yeah,
I'm
that's
saying?
really cool.
Yeah.
So kind of looking behind you a little bit, we might be jumping around from topic to topic, but
It's all
kind of
good.
looking behind you a little bit, can you explain what a breeder setup typically looks like for bearded dragon breeders? Like
Yep.
substrate you're using, bulbs you're using,
Okay. Yep. Easy.
caging,
Yep. Hmm. So let me see if I get out of the way here. So I keep
Yeah, we
mine
see
pretty
that pretty good.
simple. Pretty simple. Let me see my, yeah. So pretty simple. All I do is a basking spot. A UVB light. I use T5s, the high output stuff.
Okay.
And then as far as substrate, I don't use substrate. All I use is paper.
Okay.
So
Craft paper maybe or something?
yeah, it's exactly what it is. Just craft paper. I have a little cutter up there. I don't know if you can see it right there. And I put a roll
Yeah.
on there, and I just cut a bunch of them and go. Um, and I keep it pretty simple, just because I clean these every day. There's a lot of work behind it. So
Yeah, it
that
keeps the hygiene
yeah
in good standing. Lower
yeah
bacteria, lower risk of health problems and stuff.
yeah.
Yeah,
And
I actually
besides,
need one of those roller cutter things.
yeah, it's super easy. They sell the it's like $8, right,
Yeah,
for a roll. It's actually a little bit bigger, so I just cut it with my chop saw to fit into the roller thing, and then just go.
that's super sweet, dude. I'm gonna
Yeah,
ask you the model number of that, or I might just look it up.
yeah,
I always like to try to get some questions from the chat as we're going along. So,
yeah,
Bam Bam Geckos was asking, what is your favorite morph of bearded dragon to work with? Do you have one?
yeah. So I like it simple. So my favorite is hypo, just hypo.
Hypo. Not
Yeah.
even the red, or can you have red hypos?
Well, red isn't a morph. Red is just color.
Yeah, well,
So
okay, let me clarify. In leopard geckos, we call line breeding morphs. So like we'll call a tangerine, we'll call it a morph, even though typically it's not. And I'm not sure what Bam Bam meant by that, but so hypo is your favorite like
morph.
genotype, like yeah, like morph, like
Yeah.
inside the DNA creating a mutation. What's your favorite phenotype, like look of an animal?
I would say red hypo. Red hypo.
Red
I just
hypo.
like the way. Yep, just like the way they saturate. I just
I'm trying to
go.
picture hypo again in my mind for bearded dragon. Is it the scale thing or is it less
No,
pattern or
it's no black. So the hypo
no
removes the
black?
black, right?
Gotcha.
So so a hypo is going to have clear nails, and typically their color
Oh
is going
yeah,
to
that's
be
right.
it's not going to have any black, so it's going to be like just saturated.
All right, let me look on your page real quick. Let's see if we can find a hypo red, and you could just like say there. I mean, you could show
Okay.
one if you want on camera. Yeah. Well, I mean,
Yeah, I think I think that might be easier, right?
yeah. Let's do that. That way, I could keep you on, and I don't need to worry about the echo.
Yeah.
Um, let's see. What was I was just gonna ask something right before that too.
So this one's in shed, but this is a good hypo right here.
Oh
So
yeah.
you see how it's like saturating right there. Well, as it gets older, a lot of the pattern goes away because of the gene.
Mm-hmm.
So it just turns into a more uniform color. Sometimes that does affect the darkness of the dragon, like the red.
Yeah.
So
So you're saying that like a hypo red might be like, because okay, it might be the quality of the camera, but it almost looks like tangerine red to me.
yeah,
Looking at it on camera, that's really cool.
yeah, yeah.
So it's almost
So
like a Charmander, Charmeleon, Charizard kind of dragon.
yeah, and then that's also going to depend on the quality of the animal. Like if it's like one of those dark red hypos, I mean, it's still saturated, but the red is a lot darker on it.
Gotcha. Yeah, Bam Bam was also asking, do bearded dragons lay their eggs all at once or in multiple clutches?
No, yeah, it's all at once. So with dragons, you'll get the full clutch, but the same thing like geckos, well, they'll lay multiple clutches, but it'll be multiple clutches of like
A
anywhere from
lot.
like 15 to 30, depending on average, 15 to 30.
Yeah, I remember
But
you telling me that. I was like, dang, dude, that's a lot. But bearded
yeah,
dragons, I mean, leopard geckos are very high up on the demand list for common reptiles. Bearded dragons might even be slightly higher than that, but they're super popular. Um,
yeah.
so why bearded dragons? Why did you decide? Did you start keeping bearded dragons as pets first? And then you're like, oh, I want to breed these and just focus on these? Or can you talk a little bit of the history of why the dedication to this specifically?
So believe it or not, I had a leopard gecko first.
I
Leopard
remember you
geckos,
telling me that
yeah.
story.
But so as a kid, I went to one of my parents' friend's house, and their son, who was older than me, had a bearded dragon in this cool setup, with the sand and like it was just a really cool lizard, and he was holding it, and it was super friendly. So that yeah, I fell in love, and ever since then I wanted one, and it took me a couple of years after that, but I got my first one, and you know the rest is history.
Did you do the whole pet setup when you first had your first one? You know, like did you have
Yeah,
like sand substrate or like
yeah, dude. I mean, it was terrible because I had really minimal knowledge of what I was doing.
yeah,
But bearded dragons back then, I mean, they were like basically one color. You know, they were like brown and
yeah.
gray and just ugly. So I just put them in sand, put just a regular light, and the thing was as happy as can be.
Hey, do you know this guy in the chat, Rodriguez Reptiles?
I think so.
Yeah, I bet you do know him. He's probably interviewed you at shows and stuff. So you're pretty big into shows out here in Arizona. We have a couple big shows. Do you vend every show? There might be like 3 or 4 shows or something.
In Arizona, I do the what is it? Two shows right here. The two. I think there's a
Yeah,
Repticon, but I don't do that one.
you don't do the Repticon.
No, I used to. That's where I started, but I don't do it anymore. But
Actually, that
I
was the
do.
first time I saw you. Was at a
Yeah,
Repticon, and
actually, I
that
do
was
remember that.
before. Do you really? I think were you
Hmm.
there with Jesse by chance? Was Jesse still here at that time? You were there with like some buff dude or something, like some stocky buff dude, and that was like one of my very first shows getting into the hobby on a deeper level. And I remember your booth.
Yeah. So no, Jesse and I did a show, but that was the Mesa show. But
Okay, okay,
that show that you're talking about, I did it with some guy named George. And
okay,
George, I forgot his page, but George was vending with me.
okay. Gotcha, gotcha. Yeah, Repticon. So that's cool. Yeah, I was considering if I wanted to do Repticon, but for it's a lot of work doing a show, right? It's a lot of preparation. It's a lot of fun too. But for
It
now,
is.
yeah, I've just decided just to maybe do the 2 shows a year, which is the Phoenix Reptile Expo. So if you guys are in town, you can come see John. He always buys up a good amount of tables. Now you're also traveling to California now as well. Is that new for you, or have you always been doing that for shows?
So man, for years I've been going to. I usually just do one of the Cali shows. So it's usually Pomona or San Diego, but for some
Okay.
reason they took out the San Diego one. So San Diego one didn't happen this year. They did add a Las Vegas show, which I'm not gonna go to. I think somebody asked on the chat here, but I
Oh,
won't be
okay.
at the Las Vegas one. But I will be at Pomona. So this year we're doing both actually, Pomona, and then we just finished doing Anaheim like 2 weeks ago.
Pomona, is that Southern Cali or
Yeah, yeah.
and then
It's
Anaheim is
really
that
close to Anaheim. Yeah,
okay. So they're both kind of
Anaheim's where
Southern Cali shows.
Yeah, it's where Disneyland is at.
Nice, nice. You can make a
Yeah.
little detour, maybe bring the bearded dragon on a roller coaster. Yeah. So yeah, let's see here. What would be let me look at this real quick. I wrote down a list to kind of like give us some topics to really talk about as we're entertaining. So you were saying something about the Vegas show though a second ago. Is Vegas new? Did they not have reptile shows before?
They did, but it was a different one. It was Reptilian Nation. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of that, but this
Okay.
is I believe this is the first time that the Super Show is there. Rami, the guy that puts it on.
Yeah. Oh, you got muted. Can you hear me? Or maybe I lost the connection with you. Can you hear me? Definitely froze. Okay, he's probably coming back. All right, so we have two. All right, guys, give him a sec. I'm sure he will be back. I'm going to highlight some topics to go over with him. Cool. Oh, there he is. That's cool, dude.
I don't know what
I,
happened.
yeah, did you notice that you froze and you're like, oh, I'll log out and come back in, or did it kick you?
No, I logged out. You froze, or well, it looked like you froze, and then
Oh,
I just
okay,
logged
yeah.
out and logged back in.
Oh, cool. Yeah, if that happens, just do that, and I'll do the same. It keeps the chat live and active, so if one or both of us logs out, we can come back in with that same link. So I'm sorry. What were we talking about a second ago?
The shows,
Uh, oh, yeah,
the Las
Vegas,
Vegas
right?
show.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think it's the first time they're doing it. Um, there.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so that's
Yeah.
really cool. I mean, I do have a dream as well to kind of travel around and do some shows, but it is a lot of work, and you need, a decent amount of animals to sell and get your name out there and stuff. But it'd be pretty cool. Um, so I think I remember talking to you a little bit about this one of the times that I was over. But did you play like semi-pro or in one of the pro like soccer leagues or college or something like that?
I wish I played in recreational leagues, man.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, I
It's
remember you,
just
you were talking about being a soccer player. No more soccer
yeah.
now? Just work and business and hobby,
I've
family?
been I've been trying I've been trying to play, but it's just been it's been one thing after the other. You know, been being busy. I tore my calf, and that kind of stopped me for a while. So
Oh, how'd you do that?
playing soccer, and
Dude,
then the main thing is getting old. You know.
yeah, getting old, but soccer is very strenuous. A lot of very fast burst movements. And
Yeah.
I never understood it until I started doing just soccer a little bit for fun. But when you're running full speed, and soccer players are fast, when you're running full speed and someone elbows you or knees you or hits you in the funny bone or the shin or something, that hurts. It hurts a
Yeah.
lot. So I could see why players, sometimes soccer players get the bad rap about flopping and stuff like that. But not only might it be painful, but it also might end your career or take you out of the game or prevent you
Yeah.
from winning if someone is purposely fouling you and getting away with it. So you definitely want the ref to see that. Super
Yeah.
dangerous stuff. At least football super dangerous too, but at least in football you do have pads when you're running at people full force. Soccer you don't. So I give
Yeah.
that. I now understand and don't view flopping as bad anymore. but
I mean, there's some players that'll flop, and it's annoying because it's like what do you call it? The boy who cried wolf, right? Like you don't
yeah.
believe you don't know what to believe.
And then when they really do get
So,
hurt, it's tough, right? So full time, you're still doing real estate, correct?
yep, yep. That's my
How's the
main
real
thing I do.
estate market now in Arizona? Are we expecting it to be a good buyer's market or seller's market coming up
You know
for the
what?
country? Or?
We're in a weird I would say like a shift, kind of like a deciding point right now. You know, it was a heavy seller's market for the last couple of years. You know, like I'd say 2 years. Um, and then right now, with the interest rates going up, everything is kind of, like kind of on pause, kind of slowing down. The people that were buying are kind of on hold right now. So sellers are kind of being forced to maybe drop their
Huh.
price or not sell or something. So we're in a weird shift right now.
We'll have to see what happens. The reason that came to mind is because I was I was watching a YouTube video today. You know how ads come up, and an
Yeah.
ad came up and said, "People, get ready. You're about to have the best buyers housing market in the next decade." So whatever, like he was trying to promote like that it's going to be a good buyers market, and I kind of got excited for a second because I've been I don't know if this will happen, but I would like to buy a house to run the reptile business out of. Instead of like renting real estate and paying somebody else, I'd rather mortgage a second house if I had the opportunity
Hmm.
to have that for the business, because then it's not only an investment for the business, but you have an entire house. You could
Yeah.
close off rooms, you could
The
temperature
long term.
one room and another room. And
Yeah.
so that would be kind of my goal. If that happens, I'll probably be hitting you up like
And that'll probably make your wife very happy too, huh?
that would make her very. Oh, dude, I had a close call, and you could tell me if you've had any close calls. I came home yesterday, and the house smelled like fire. I went over to the room. Oh no, I lost them. Still smells like fire. I had to burn some incense right now. It's been 24 hours. Still smells like fire. I'll tell you guys what happened when he comes back. Cool, got you back. Yeah,
Well,
sorry. It might
man,
be.
you were about to say something really good, and then it cut off.
Did you hear me? I said I came home and the house smelled like fire. For the first time ever, I've never walked into my house and it smelled like fire. I don't use heat tape or any of that kind of stuff. And I went into, I tracked it down to we just hatched some baby tegus, and I will create a home for the baby tegus in a giant 55-gallon plastic tub from Home Depot, right? And I'll
Hmm.
screw like a high wattage light bulb in there, and then I'll layer the bottom with like a few inches of soil, like organic soil. Well, the wood chips in the organic soil actually started a small fire in the
Oh no
tegu's
way!
cage. Yeah,
Oh my
it's a
god!
gigantic cage, so the tegus had no issue. But I looked right underneath the light, and there was a bunch of like white powder, which kind of looked like crushed up urates. You know what crushed up
Yeah.
urates
So it
looks like?
was
White powder,
ashes, right?
but it
Ashes,
was ashes. And I was like, holy
dude.
cow. I was on the phone with my wife, and it was literally, and then as I was talking to her, a little ember erupted from those ashes. And I was like, holy cow, I got to alter this here. So yeah, that was scary, dude. Oh no. Did we get the freeze? Yeah, I think we got disconnecting. I might have to see if he can go inside closer to the Wi-Fi. Cool, gotcha. I think it might be distance from the Wi-Fi. Do you have a router in your garage, or is it like just in the house? Or
It's just in the house. But
yeah,
you know what, dude? Let me go inside the house. I won't be able to like show you guys any reptiles, but at least I
the
won't
the
keep.
unfortunately the quality is only like 720p anyway, so it's like a little tough to see. But I can show your Instagram, and we can see some really cool stuff. So while you're walking, actually, let me look on your Instagram. Let me see if what I catch here.
I'll
I'll
hang out
hang
in
out
the
in the
other
other
reptile
reptile
room,
room,
which is
which
the
is the
geckos.
geckos.
Okay, nice. Dude, I'm gonna need to ask you about this here. What is China RM lines?
So that's what I was talking about. Those lines with the dark red
Yeah.
dragons, and
Oh,
RM
okay.
means red monster. So if you guys look at red monster or like a hashtag for red monster, or um, I think it's Red Beardy's Lab, the Instagram. That's the guy that is behind those really dark lines.
Yeah, I thought I heard the title Red Monster. So is that his American kind of branding on it? He brands him as like the Red Monster. So like you have
Well,
Red Monster line now, or
yeah. So yeah, that's his marketing thing. But I mean, it's just he's in that guy's in Hong Kong.
oh, the
So
Red Monster guy?
yeah, Red
Oh, okay,
Beardy Lab.
okay.
He's in Hong Kong. Um,
That's
but
super cool.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, those babies look amazing. So it says half
yeah,
China
dude,
Red
they're
Monster.
something else, man. They're like if you thought you'd
I hope it's not my issue, but I don't know why I would have an issue. We'll reconnect. Sometimes it just helps if somebody reconnects um, after leaving a different position. So there you are. Hey, I'm sorry,
yeah, I
man.
don't know. I don't know. I mean, I am right next to the router that I have full bar, so
So I'm not sure either. Sometimes these streaming platforms and stuff can have certain issues. Is there anything? Are you on your phone? Is there anything you can close down, like stuff that might be taking up CPU usage, like on your phone or anything?
uh, I closed out a couple pages. So let's see.
Yeah, yeah.
Hopefully
Let's
it
check it out.
works.
I just noticed this, but I think I can actually see when your bars go down. You see, like right next to your name, or that might be sound quality. but I thought it just went down a second ago, and I was like, oh, maybe that's showing me if reception's going up and down. But
Hmm,
yeah,
interesting.
hopefully that doesn't happen. But I appreciate your patience with it. I might have to message their customer service after this to see if it was possibly something that I could learn from as far as the setup of the stream. But what are those China ones mixed with? It says half China red monster.
So the ones that say half China is one parent is a direct dragon from them, from the Red Monster line, and then one that from my lines, like something that I've been working on. So that's why it's half Red Monster. Makes
And have
sense?
another red line like a Mega Man, because your red line you've kind of determined to have like Mega Man babies, right? Shoot. Ah. Hmm. I think when he goes out. Yeah, we'll ask him if he's on Wi-Fi or data. Freeze frame. Yeah, it's horrible. I'm sorry. Sorry, John. Oh,
I,
somebody was asking, are you on data by chance, or are you on Wi-Fi for sure on your
I'm on
phone?
Wi-Fi. I'm on Wi-Fi.
Okay, okay.
We could take it off of Wi-Fi if that might help.
Yeah, I guess we can maybe if it happens one more time, we can try it just to see.
Yeah.
Um, not sure what would be causing the issue. But so did you mix the China lines with your Mega Man red lines?
Uh, yeah, I did this year. I made some. So I did it last year too because I last year I imported one directly myself,
Yeah.
and I made some half channels last year, and then but that wasn't didn't mix with any Mega Man lines. But this year I did mix with some Mega Man lines, and they're looking really good. So I'm
Now, let me
excited.
ask this, because bearded dragons are kind of like leopard geckos in the sense that we cannot import any new blood, right? So, how do you keep like red lines as fresh as possible, and how long do you inbreed or line breed, or like how do you work that all out?
Man, that's a tough one. So we don't line breed. It's kind of it's kind of like it's frowned upon here. Although most of the dragons are, line bred or inbred or, but we try to do our due diligence with where we grab our stuff to make sure that it's not um, related, not at least not from the same breeder as far as we could tell, as far as we know. So that's kind of how we try to do it.
So to create new red lines, you would take something like Mega Man and breed
Uh-huh.
him to farther away bloodlines, and then
Yeah.
those babies, would you breed those siblings together or only breed them to other moms' babies, kind of
Yeah.
thing?
Yeah. So, you don't want to do any like in Tegus they call it, like F1 crossings or whatever like that.
Yeah.
But you don't want to do any siblings. You don't want to do anything that's related. Now, line breeding, if you wanted to line breed, you would cross it back to mom or dad, right? Like a baby to mom or dad.
Yeah. Yeah.
But with how much that's happened, we just completely stay against it. Away from that.
Okay. So are there different red monster lines then? So they're like, there's a red monster line with this lineage, there's a red monster line with this lineage, and you can cross them to create more red monsters that
Yeah.
are diverse lineage?
There is. The only problem with that is that we are at the mercy of the creator to be honest with us,
Yeah.
So, and he's sold a few different breeders here in the United States, some unrelated stuff, supposedly, allegedly, right? And so,
Hmm.
and they've produced like a couple of breeders have produced this year, um, from two different red monster lines. So,
Okay.
like I
Um,
said, we're at their mercy.
Before you started the red monster, you've had your red operation going for what, 7 or 8 years? How long you been?
Um, Well, the red, I really started focusing on reds about 4 years ago, I would say.
Okay.
Before that, I was into like a little bit of everything, like I wanted to do basically a couple pairings of everything. But what I felt like I was putting out wasn't good enough because I wasn't focusing on one thing. So I just kind of dropped a lot of different projects and just focus on the reds.
Yeah, and now you're super successful with the Reds. So that was going to be my question is how did you build up your Red army? Did you just like buy Reds from different people? Did you make your own and raise them up and then crossbreed them from different lines or
Both of those things you just said I did. So I was getting stuff from like top red people here in the United States, and then kept breeding it to my lines that I was working with, which used to be orange, and then crossed those with somebody else's lines, and then crossed it back to the other guy's lines. So I just kept you know
getting redder and
doing that.
redder?
Yeah, redder
And then
and
you popped
redder.
out Mega Man.
Actually, so Mega Man is what is he like 3 years old, 4 years old now? Three,
Hmm.
2019. So what's that? 3 years old now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
19,
So
20, 20. Yeah. 21, 22.
yeah, yeah. And that dude, man, he's been awesome.
Yeah. So
He's got
Mega
a
Man, for you guys who don't know, is one of John's specific like best red bearded dragons over the last couple of years. Has Mega Man been replaced? Have you gotten a dragon better than him now, or like more saturated?
he's made some babies that are better than him, but he has not been replaced.
Not yet. Not yet.
Not yet. No, man, I can't. And I think that guy's probably gonna stick around, after he retires, and probably just live in the house, and just probably put him in the office or in the kids' room or something.
Yeah, keep him long term as a pet.
Yeah.
Um, so, oh shoot, what was I just thinking? I had to go to the bathroom really bad, so I was gonna just run to the restroom. But somebody had a question, and you can kind of answer the question, and I'll be right back. So
Okay.
Bam Bam says, "What's the most expensive or highest value morph? I guess for bearded dragons."
Here, I see the question, so I could answer him. So, Bam Bam, most expensive high value of more. So, believe it or not, right now the most expensive stuff isn't even morphed. It's like the red, deep red stuff is going for a few $1,000s, and it even has a morph. It'll just be a double head or no morph, but it's just the intense color that people are buying right now. So I guess that's the most expensive dragon. But if you're asking about most expensive morph, oh, that's a tough one. I mean, I would say some like zero stuff is still kind of expensive. Oh, the Wero stuff is still kind of expensive. So it's probably it. Um, and then Edgar, you ask if I have my setup in my garage. I do. I have all my dragon cages in the garage, and they are regulated with a AC. So I keep the garage about 83 degrees roughly, and then their cages, obviously, they have the lights that turn on and off throughout the day. So that's the way I regulate those temps.
Yeah, and we need that AC out here in Arizona, right? Because
Yeah,
the garages get like 150 degrees.
yeah.
Are these some of those Weeros?
So those are just zeros.
Those are just zeros.
Hmm.
I remember I messaged you a couple months ago. Somebody was selling a beautiful, like ivory white zero. And I was like, John, I want to get this. And then I was like planning to like line breed it in the way that you do with leopard geckos. Because leopard geckos, you could breed dad to daughter, mom to son, brother to son. You could do that.
Yeah,
And it really doesn't create an issue, maybe for like a few generations. And then you can like mix it from there. But I remember you were like, no, absolutely not. You
yeah,
can't do that, especially with the zeros, right? They're super
yeah.
sensitive.
And not only can't breed them to their siblings, but also the like
You
head
can't go
stuff,
like visual to visual. You can't, right?
yeah, and then you can't do like a head to a visual,
A head to,
you
yeah.
could, yeah,
Just
you
head
can't
to
do a
head.
head to,
You can only do head to head.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you can do it. The only problem is if you do it, you're more than likely going to end up with some issues, and the dragon community will freaking eat you alive, man.
Like, eat
You
you
know?
like a cockroach.
Yeah.
Um, are you guys seeing any dubia roach shortages or anything in the dragon community?
Not
Or
this year.
your suppliers pretty steady?
Yeah, yeah. I think like last year or the year before that, when everybody was like getting new dragons, new pets, and we had like a really bad superworm shortage. And then along with that came like a dubia shortage. But as far as that this year, I think everything's been pretty solid.
Yeah, for leopard gecko breeders, there's a little bit of a mealworm shortage right now. Like you're limited on the amount of mealworms you can buy from companies, or companies are just sold out. So I was wondering if the dubias are doing the same. But the good thing about mealworms is that you can store them in the refrigerator for 3 months. So you could buy 100 or 200,000 mealworms and just store that away. And that's what I'm starting to do now, because last year I got to the point where there was that shortage of mealworms and I wasn't able to get any. And I had to feed my whole collection dubia roaches, and it was 10 times more time consuming than
Yeah,
feeding
and
mealworms.
expensive,
Yeah.
huh?
Well, I was breeding my own dubias. Remember, I
Oh, that's
started my
right.
own
Yeah,
so I had the dubias. It's just so much more time consuming to be parting out dubia roaches than mealworms for the leopard
yeah,
geckos. And dubia
that's true.
roaches can get out of those little escape dishes, and they're so flat and so fast.
They
Your
fit.
animal will never get it. They fit anywhere.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So let me see. There was something else I was gonna we talked about the housing market. What I know you love reptiles, and you've obviously carved out a beautiful niche for yourself here with bearded dragons, and specifically being known for your red bearded dragons. What is your future for Extreme Dragons AZ? Do you have one yet? Do you have dreams? And then do you have tangible steps that you're taking towards that yet?
I mean, just continue working on the red stuff as far as bearded dragons. But if you're talking about a whole, we've added a few different species that we're working with. Actually, two or one. So we just started working with geckos. So we got
Oh
some
yeah,
crested
yeah.
geckos. We've had gargs. But we just got more and just kind of grew that little project a little bit and plan to do some cool stuff with those.
Yeah,
So
gargoyles are cool. The gargoyles aren't even at the level yet where you can get them wholesale, and so there's a lot of
this is fun.
work to be done with the gargoyle geckos, um, untapped a little bit. It scares me a little that crested and gargoyle geckos and even leopard geckos, we can't get new wild blood in, because like 20, 30, 40, 100 years from now, what are these lineages going to look like? It's almost like everything's going to be related, because everything started from what, a few hundred imports or something like that. So it's
Yeah,
like, how much longer can it sustain? But as of now, it's sustaining really good. We don't need to worry about it. Reptile genetics are not like human genetics. You can breed and inbreed reptiles a lot. I think with the bearded dragons, do you know why bearded dragons have more of a problem inbreeding than like crested geckos or leopard geckos? Is it just because they've been around longer, or
I think it's just been in the early stages. It was just done so much that it
Mhm.
created some issues for us now. Like a really bad bottlenecking kind of thing going on. Where we're all meeting right here in the middle with the same stuff.
So
So
talking about that, when did wild blood become an option that people started pursuing more? Like I've started hearing, I think, more about that recently.
so are you talking about Barbada? Barbada
Barbada,
wine?
yeah, different
Okay.
species, or is it
Yeah.
subspecies, or
Yeah, it's a different locale of Pagona. There's Viticeps, Pagona Viticeps, which is what your common bearded dragon is known to be. And there's Pagona barbata. So these guys are more of an eastern, locale of Australia. And they weren't as popular back in the day because they're more of a wild lizard. Bearded dragons, like it could be a wild animal and you go pick it up. But these, even in captivity, being captive born, captive born and bred,
Mhm.
they're still kind of wild and they still don't like to be, touched and messed with. So um,
They need to
those
be
didn't get,
domesticated.
yeah, they didn't get the popularity in the early stages, but some people did work with them, and um, I don't really know how or when they got over here, but when they got over here, they got really popular because that was kind of our way of introducing fresh blood into the our into the Viticeps.
So Viticeps is the main one that you see on average.
Yeah.
Um, and then the Barbata that we were just talking about, that's a different locale.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and are they the same genus? And like, are they the same? Is it a true subspecies of Viticeps, or is it like a different species, but they are like hybridable? You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
they're hybridable. They're hybridable. So that's what I mean. People kind of getting them to clean up some of the inbreeding going on. Because these are completely separate lines that they were breeding into the Viticeps. So now creating a hybrid.
Now,
A
is the Barbata, does it naturally have a different look to it? So like it's doing new and different things in the
Yeah.
bearded dragon morphs now than you've seen in the
Yes.
past. That's
Yeah.
cool. That's
So
cool.
it does have a different look. They're very, very similar. Like if somebody that doesn't know much about bearded dragons probably won't be able to tell too much, but for us that know them pretty well, they have different head shapes, different, more of a wild
Oh
type
yeah.
look.
I got a half Barbata from you, I think, and it was maybe a
Yeah,
little bit of a shorter face, like shorter snout and stuff. Um, but yeah, in
boxier heads. Yeah,
boxier.
boxier heads.
I think
Yeah,
that's pretty cool. So, like in leopard geckos, there's like 7 different subspecies that could all interbreed with each other for the
yeah.
most part, and they all have a unique look to them.
Hmm.
And leopard geckos is very inbred as well. We don't really see too many issues. Maybe there was more imports that became available to us than like bearded dragons, because everyone has to realize at some point, if you track everything back, there might have only been 100 bearded dragons imported into whatever the European hobby or the American hobby, and then everyone like created from there.
From
Or like
from what
same
I
thing with leopard
hear,
geckos.
from what I hear, and I don't know if this is true, but I've
Uh-huh.
heard this from a couple of people that there was only 20 something dragons brought in originally, and out of
Originally.
those, there was like 4 people that got them or something like that, and that's what got us to where we're at now. I don't know how true that is, but that's what I've heard from multiple sources.
You know what I would love to look into one day, and I hope is possible, is a controlled release of a certain amount of fresh wild caught blood from these countries like Australia, New Caledonia, even like Afghanistan where the leopard geckos are. If we could work with like traders in those areas to say, okay, they're only going to release like 100 a year, but it's going to be fresh blood coming from the wild. That way, the wild population stays in control. And it also minimizes like possible poaching and like illegal exportation, that would be super cool. That would keep the hobbies going on for a longer period of time. Lost John again, but we'll get him back here. Let me show. This is one of Mega Man's babies, so you can see how good Mega Man produces um, uh, red saturation. I'm trying to remember if the black eye color. What is the black eye color? That's translucent, right? That's not hypo.
Yes, sir. Yep,
Yeah, I
you're
was just
correct.
showing. I don't know if you saw, but this is Mega Man holdback, right?
Yeah, that one. It's a female, but that one is uh really nice. I would say better looking animal than Mega Man.
Dude, if you put Red Monster to her,
That's the plan next season.
that would be sick. So bearded
Yeah.
dragons, really cool animal. I don't know if you heard me, but it would be super cool if we could find like a partnership program with these countries that have closed down exportation completely, because this is gonna sound bad, but exportation is poaching and exportation, illegal exportation of animals is a thing, and people are doing that. And so maybe that is keeping some fresh blood in the European hobby that will eventually make its way to the American hobby. But like, I would love to see a legalized form of that, working with like Australia and working with like New Caledonia and Afghanistan, so that we could get in a controlled amount of wild animals every year to enter into the hobby, to keep the hobbies going, and kind of discourage poaching more and stuff like that, you know?
That sounds fantastic if it could happen, but
Yeah.
it's
You're
basically
like, yeah, that'll
impossible.
never happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we can hope and dream. So closing off on the future dreams, would you love to do reptiles full time one day, or do you have plans to possibly pursue that in the future?
I don't think so. I I like it where it's a hobby and not a job, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
Um, I
No,
don't
I
want to
get it.
lose the passion and it turn into a job. So I like it as a hobby and I like my job as my job, you know?
Yeah. Let me just show this because I was just looking at this real quick. Red monster, right?
Correct.
Imagine if you cross that animal into the one I just showed before. It's going to be sick.
Yeah.
But yeah, that whole work-life balance. I'm doing this right now as far as relying upon the animals
Yeah.
for my full-time position, and I haven't even been paying myself a paycheck. I'll be blatantly clear. I'm going on my second year doing this full time. I've not paid myself one dime as far as a salary or a paycheck, and thankfully I have a supportive wife, and I have some money running it coming in to help support the bills and the mortgage. But I will say this: if you do reptiles full time, there is an immense pressure on you to sell and
Hmm.
create and make money, because you not only have to pay yourself a reasonable salary, you have to
Yeah.
support the expenses, and you have to make the business profitable to expand the business and become able to support employees and stuff. It's a lot of pressure that I don't think everybody would enjoy. So, like, kind of what you're talking about, where you have a great career doing what you're doing and the money you're making, and doing this on the side is also great for you financially, but you're not reliant upon the bearded dragon money
Yeah.
to pay your mortgage. you know
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah. And that would be bad if, you know, if I'm doing full-time reptiles and I'm not able to make ends meet, that would kind of make me lose my passion for them, I feel, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. No, I mean, I can admit to seeing that a little bit in my life right now, keeping, I think we have now maybe like 600 leopard geckos, just 600 leopard geckos under our roof. And leopard
It's a
geckos
lot.
are my favorite reptile. I don't know why. They just have a hold of my heart. They're still my favorite reptile. But when you look at all 600 of those reptiles, you have to switch into care mode over appreciation mode, because if you just sit back and try to enjoy 600 animals, no work is going to get done. And when you have 600 animals, work needs to be the priority. That's cool.
Man,
Thanks. Thanks for
we were doing so
We
good.
are doing so good. I appreciate your patience with that. I'll definitely shoot a message to the customer service team. I show them the videos that I have problems on, and then they give me feedback on what they think it might be. You know,
Gotcha.
but the closing thing I said in regards to that is, even though leopard geckos are my favorite species, I can't sit back and enjoy 600 animals. I need to prioritize work over my joy, because if I prioritize enjoying the animals, the work won't get done to take care of the animals. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's very true.
So now, on the opposite side of that, I enjoy being able to create 600, 1,000, and next year moving into the couple thousand animals and creating things that I normally wouldn't be able to create if I only had an operation of 10 or 20
Yeah,
breeders. That's
correct.
the
Yeah.
that's the trade-off. That's the benefit that I'm okay with, but I don't have time anymore to just sit back and be like, yeah, let me play with my gecko. How you
Yeah.
doing today, gecko? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I have to absolutely prioritize cleaning cages like you were just doing a second ago, but
Yeah.
um okay, cool. Crossing off dreams off of the list. Um what do you think the future of bearded dragons as a hobby is going to be? Where do you see the hobby moving
Um, I
or
would
evolving?
say,
Is it evolving? Is it at a stagnant place where like things are just like continuing on, or are there new goals and stuff that like people are pursuing in the hobby right now?
I mean, everybody has their own like personal goals that they're pursuing, right? And I feel like I wouldn't say stagnant because that sounds kind of bad, but we're kind of at a point where I mean, no morph have been introduced in the last few years, you know. Um, so I think a lot more like hybridizing is going to happen.
Mm, yeah.
You know, a lot more kind of correcting some of the mistakes that some people made in the early days. You know, like inbreeding. You know, some more outcrossing. I think is going to happen, or at least should happen. You know.
I think this is just me just kind of thinking about this. When you said earlier that you heard the rumor, we'll call it the rumor for now, about 27 animals being exported from Australia. Did you mean to America or did you mean to Europe
Mm.
and America combined?
No, here to the United States.
To the United States. So that's the
Hmm.
thing that I was going to say is I think one thing to keep both hobbies alive, leopard geckos and bearded dragons, would be to import more wild, I mean, not wild, import more bloodlines from the European areas because we've been inbreeding everything over here. They've been breeding everything over there. And now when you combine cross the two, I think we should be able to spread the hobby out longer and get fresher DNA. Um,
Yeah.
and again,
Yeah.
this is going to be like a terrible thing to think about, but I bet you because they're closer to like Australian border lines and stuff, I bet you that some people are actually importing illegally dragons and stuff, and they're getting fresh DNA in over there compared to us. We're completely across seas and stuff, you know?
Yeah. Potentially. I mean,
Yeah. I mean, I don't know
um,
that for sure. It's just,
it makes you think, right? Because of the Barbada becoming popular again, or becoming popular. You would makes you think like, did those just get taken from Australia, and people
oh yeah,
started
that's a
to
good. How
you
long
know
have they been in the hobby, the Barbada, or have they been in from the start?
allegedly they've been in from the start, but
Oh, okay.
they
Yeah.
weren't. There was like nobody really heard of these for a long time because, like I said, they're just not popular.
Yeah.
But being that they just popped up, um, not just, but
Yeah.
a couple of years ago, they got
We
popular.
could we could kind of infer possibly one option of where that came from. But hey, I mean, the world goes round and round. It spins. Life is life, Things are going to
Yeah,
happen. You just got to make the best of the situation. And the situation right now is they're available, and so is other bloodlines from Europe that has possibly been already
yeah,
mixing with that stuff and mixing with other, possibly wild caught or illegally smuggled stuff. And so if you do diversify yourself and buy from different markets, I think you'll stand a better chance. And we see a lot of leopard gecko breeders doing that now. I'd love to do more of that as well as our business becomes more self-sustaining and I have the more profits to invest. Um, I'd love to like import more and stuff.
yeah. You guys could still do that legally, right? Like where you could import from wherever they're from, Afghanistan or wherever.
No, leopard geckos is completely shut down, but
Is it?
yeah, and same with crescent and gargoyle. But what I mean import is just from the European and Asian markets.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, because they have um, they have a whole bunch of other lines that are going on over there,
Yeah,
and I think it would be fresher DNA if you're importing it from across the seas than if you're buying from another breeder in the United States. There's a really really good chance that that DNA has already overlapped with the DNA in your collection at some point in the animal's
yeah.
past.
Yeah, so that was the goal with when people started importing from they started importing from like Spain and Germany
Yeah.
and Netherlands. There's a big breeder in the Netherlands. I'm talking like 8 9 years ago, maybe 10 years ago, and these were this was a big thing. But what was happening was a few years before that, those breeders were getting them from breeders here in the United States taking them over there,
Ah,
you know. So so they were outcrossing them or whatever, or like we mentioned earlier, their standards, their ethics are a little bit different. So I don't know if they were doing some line breeding and then creating some more intense coloring, and then we were like super like in love with those, so we would bring them back over here, but they were already kind of like these
related, right?
related. So it was just like it was just kind of like a big mystery. So it's like some breeders were like, "Hey, why are you importing from over there? It's the same stuff we have here." But
Yeah.
it wasn't, because those clothes were more intense, and it was just like, okay, well, if you're bringing from over there, you don't know the the history on it. So it was just a big kind of controversial thing.
Sounds like bearded dragons is even more controversial than leopard geckos, if that's possible. I kind of joke because it definitely is possible, but leopard geckos is a pretty controversial hobby. There's some people with some very strong opinions on what you should and shouldn't do and
Yeah,
the ethics of things.
yeah. Hmm.
So Edgar asks, John, how many breeding pairs do you normally keep? And during a single season, do you already know how many babies you're going to output and hold back?
So breeding pairs, I have a lot more females than I have males, right? So I have maybe 5 males and about 30 females, I would say.
Yeah. Wow.
Um, and I mean, every season I've been pretty consistent around that 500 baby mark.
Okay.
So I mean, I feel like this year I maybe did a little bit more than I usually do. But I do want to keep it around that limit, because don't want it to, I don't want to skimp out on care.
Yeah, I remember there was a time where you and I were talking about like you were considering getting a small warehouse and expanding and stuff like that. But then I guess you decided that you're happy with this production amount right now, or like it satisfies you. It suits your
Yeah.
desires as far as the hobby is concerned.
Yeah, if I got a warehouse, I mean, I'd be adding a lot more to my already full plate.
Yep. Yeah,
So,
definitely. Well, that's good that you know your what you want to get out of it and that you can really enjoy that. I think there was a follow-up question
yeah,
which
Edgar asked if I keep the gargoyles in the
yeah.
garage, and I do not. I The garage stays about 83. Gets maybe down to like 78 at in the night in there, but it'd be too warm for the gecko. So I keep them inside the house. And here's actually,
Oh yeah,
I'll see
let's
if I
see
can.
them. Yeah, yeah.
So it's very informal right now because I'm kind of.
Hey, that's where everyone starts pretty much for crested.
You see it?
Yeah, I see it.
So I built this little rack, and then so there's the babies right here, little juveniles, some adults, and then adults in here. So
Nice. That's cool.
yeah,
That's kind of how mine is. My crested gecko operation looks just like that, just like tubs stacked on top of each other for now. I'm going to build
yeah,
some more racking for that. One day I would like to have a room just for the New Caledonian species. Like, you know how people build really cool looking like tropical rooms and they have like really nice caging lining the walls
yeah,
and stuff. I'd like
yeah.
to do that one day, but for
Yeah,
now.
me too. Me too. But I have 3 kids, and
Yeah.
I have a 4 bedroom house,
Well, 10 years from now,
and
the kids will be moved out and then they'll have free
well, yeah,
bedrooms.
that's for sure. Yeah,
That's for sure. Do any of that was one of the topics that I was going to bring up is you guys kind of operate as a family sometimes, right? Like I know your wife like prints shirts and helps with customer service and like computer stuff, right? Do your
yeah.
kids help out at shows and stuff? Do you guys all travel a little bit together or?
So me and my wife go to the shows together, and then she does help from time to time with the like answering questions. Like if I'm not answering it in a timely manner, she'll jump on there and answer it. And then my boys are still too young, but I do have a 15-year-old daughter that does help.
Nice. I joke with my wife about having kids quicker so that we could have employees faster. But you never know. I mean, kids, they might not take after the desire. But one of the things that I would like to do is I would like to build an inheritable company. So like if they wanted or if they had the opportunity that they could pursue that, So
Yeah,
we'll see. We're both out here in Arizona. You'll see if I get that far as, my dreams and passions. But it's really cool. I was telling the chat earlier that we kind of got to know each other through my first red Tegu is when I went over your house
yeah,
and I bought Blush.
yeah.
She's
Blush.
awesome. She's just her eggs are from this year are about to hatch. I think she had like 40 eggs, and I think maybe like 35 of them are good or something
Oh
waiting
my
on,
God,
on
that's
those
a
to
solid,
hatch.
solid clutch.
Dude, she is a solid girl. I mean, she's a big girl. You
Yeah,
know because you owned her before me. She is a big tegu for a female. Usually,
yeah.
females are a little bit skinnier, a little bit smaller in general, but she matches up to some pretty good sizes.
That's
She's like
awesome.
male size almost. So yeah, I love
She's,
tegus. Yeah,
she still has that blue head.
yeah, she still has her blue head. She's so
That's
sweet,
awesome.
dude.
That's
Melts
cool.
my heart thinking about her. She's one of those tegus that's like she's super sweet. She doesn't want to be aggressive to you, but every once in a while there's a time where she might like nip at you a little or something just to show you like,
Yeah,
hey, I don't want to be bothered right now.
like what?
But it's not
Look
a
what I
hard
can
nip.
do.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's not a hard nip. It's just kind of like a warning. Versus a couple of the other tegus I have that are absolutely hard nips. Like they're looking to tear your finger off, no
mm,
warning whatsoever. So it's just funny to see the personality dynamic going on
yeah.
there. That was
That's
one
cool
thing
that you
that,
still have her.
yeah, I love them, dude. I want to expand the Tegu operation when I do have the space. But one of the things that I did that just came to mind right now, talking about personality, is you were talking about the Barbadas a little bit and breeding them for more domesticated demeanor. So we just lost John again, but we'll ask him that question when he comes back in. Cool, we got you back. You can hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Awesome. I was just
What's
going to ask about yeah, go ahead. You need to talk to
No, no, it's all good. She said something, but I didn't hear. What's up,
what was your wife's name again? I'm sorry.
Marlene?
Marlene. Yeah, if
Yeah.
you need to, let me go and talk to Marlene for a sec, to absolutely feel the ability to do so.
No, it's all good.
Um, so what I was going to ask is about the domestication of reptiles. I think it's something we've seen in the dog world for a long time where you can actually select calmer animals and they will typically pass along calmer animals. Isn't that an interesting feature? And I guess you're kind of supportive towards the Barbadas kind of going that direction as well as time goes on, right? As they get more
Yeah,
domesticated, so to speak.
that is very true. Um, there's a breeder out there, and I won't mention any names, but usually their babies are very aggressive. And that breeder has said that they breed for that. You know, they want some aggression behind the
Mhm.
dragon because that kind of brings like survival instincts and stuff like that. So different people have different ideas on that, which is cool. You know, sure.
Yeah. I mean, it could just be an excuse for I don't want to take the time to find the ones with the best personalities and breed them together. I know you didn't want to say that, but I'll say
Yeah,
it because I don't mind saying it. But we don't know. I don't want to accuse the person of anything. But at the end of the day, when you're owning and operating a large business, I mean, you want to make things easier on yourself. And so one of the things you might sacrifice certain things that aren't as important to you and that might be more important to somebody else. And I don't necessarily like look at that person as like any less of a human being necessarily. I might
yeah,
be like, oh, maybe I won't do that, but if they want to do that, then okay. But
yeah. More power.
yeah. But let's see here. I didn't see any new questions. This is something that you kind of touched on a second ago. The the bearded dragon world. Have we seen what was like the newest actual morph or mutation that popped out? And do you think that there are going to be new mutations that might pop out in the near future?
So the newest one, I think it's either the Zero Morph,
Okay.
or I mean, there's another one called the Thunderbolt, but it's not really a morph. It's more of just a look. You know,
Thunderbolt. Hmm.
Thunderbolt. Yeah, I wouldn't say it's a morph.
So
So
the
I would say
zero.
the newest one's going to be I would say Zero. Um, it's kind of it's kind of a tough question
Do you know
to
where the
know.
zero came from? Did it pop out of somebody's collection randomly? Oh, I think. Did you get muted? I think we lost your sound. I think it accidentally got muted. Maybe it shows an X above the bars um, on your window that I thought was reception bars, but it must be volume bars. Did I mute you? Let me see. No, no, I didn't mute you. Um, but yeah, definitely. Yeah, you still see the X for some reason. It might have been a wonky computer thing that like muted you. There might be something on the bottom of your screen, or maybe it might have been your earbud that died. No sound yet. You might have to like put both earbuds in and then like bring them back out. Like reset them or something. Let's see. Yeah, I see you messing with the mute button now, so it must be something. Did the earbuds die? Maybe they died. Okay. Then what we can do. Yep, yep. Headphone died. I do have one bearded dragon. I have a bearded dragon from John of Extreme Dragons AZ, and I use it as an educational dragon for shows and stuff like that.
How about now?
Perfect. Are your earbuds
Okay.
charged? Because we could try to use your speaker on your phone if you want.
Well, it died, and then I could hear you, but you couldn't hear me. I was trying to talk.
Oh, do you have a different set of earbuds now, or?
Yeah, so mine are kind of messed up. So this one dies really quick. So
Oh, gotcha.
I have to like alternate.
Yeah, and if we need to, we can disconnect the earbuds. I think the issue before might have been because you were on the iPad or something, and maybe that has like worse sound reception. But phones usually have a pretty good speaker. What model phone do you have? Is it like a newer model or?
It's like a year old, whatever iPhone, like
Oh yeah,
iPhone
so it
13.
probably would. I do most of my live streams with our guests, and they don't even have earbuds. They're just using the speaker on their phone. It might have just been because you were in the garage and there's a heavy echo, or it
Yeah.
might have been the speaker from the iPad. But
Let me try it. I'm gonna take this off and
yeah, yeah,
just try to talk.
yeah.
Hold
Try it
on.
out. We'll check it out. All right. So no, so it's showing. Yeah, it's showing the little muted sign right now. You might have to disconnect. Are you able to turn it on speaker or turn it on? Because sometimes you have to change it from. Yeah, there you go. You took off the video. Um, why don't you? Yeah, try to come back in real quick. Log out and come back in, and it should just pick up your speaker. But yeah, we have a beautiful bearded dragon from him that we use for birthday parties, school events. If we do corporate events, I'll use it just because I like to have a broad species of animals to educate on. So that's why I keep a boa around. We have some ball pythons for education. We have John's bearded dragon for education. All right, I see the thing there. So let's hopefully no echo. Oh no, I don't know why it's showing the bars, but yeah, we might have to just do the earbud thing. That is weird. Or you could try in the house. You could try the speaker in the house or something. I don't know why the speaker on the phone wouldn't work. You just logged out and came back in. So we have a few more questions for John here too when he gets back in. No, I don't know why it's not. Yeah, that it's not working. That one. Yeah, you want to try your phone speaker in the house? Maybe I don't know why that would make a difference, but maybe location. Are your earbuds dead for sure? Yeah, I'm not sure why I'm not hearing you. Let me see here. Interesting. Yeah, it's not even giving me any static sound coming from your end. And usually when you log out and like log back in, that works. But I know you did that and it didn't work this time. All right, let's see. He's gonna come back in right now with. Oh man, I still don't hear you. I'm not sure why. Can you use your iPad in the house by chance? Okay. We will figure this out, guys. We will figure it out. And if not, then there's Marlene. So yeah, we do have one bearded dragon that we just keep use for use. Kids love bearded dragons, so we use it at like birthday parties and school events. All right, let's see. He's gonna try to come in on the iPad. So we'll have two Johns. We'll have John on the phone and John on the iPad. But now John on the phone is probably gonna disconnect. All right, while he's doing that, we could show some more BDs. Here's some more of that China line. The red monster China line. You can see like just how cool that is. Super cool line. Is this his Mega Man? Yeah, this is a holdback from Mega Man. So this was his original line that you can see here. Are you on your iPad now? Oh, there you go. Yeah. Bunch of little babies. Baby bearded dragons. Very cute. Love bearded dragons. When I first got back into the reptile hobby, I think I was at a store and they had bearded dragons for like $10 or something. I was like, ooh, I want one. There it is. I hear like a static noise, but that's better than no noise.
Can you hear me though?
I can, and the
Okay.
volume's good. I don't hear an echo. Chat, let me know if you hear an echo. But yeah, that's cool.
Let me turn it this way.
Perfect, perfect.
Cool.
Um, yeah, that's really awesome. Do you remember where we left off? What we were talking about? Bam Bam said the sound is good. Um,
I don't.
it was new morphs, I think. The Zero was the last morph to be discovered, and I think I asked, do you know where the Zero came from? Did it randomly be created out of or discovered out of someone's collection?
Yeah, it was randomly discovered, and then and I don't know if it was here in the United States or another country, but a breeder here in the United States basically took that and then just created a bunch of them.
Could you imagine popping out the first Zero and being like, "What the heck?" Like you're hatching red
Yeah,
bearded dragons, and then one of them's just white.
yeah,
Oh, that's sick. So we see the theme in like leopard geckos, cresty geckos, gargoyle geckos, bearded dragons. We see the theme, and even ball pythons. We see the theme that new morphs can and do pop out in the hobby. It seems like every 5 to 10 years. So I'll ask him when he gets back. Um, if he has any clue if there's a new morph that might pop up and what he might think it is. Oh, nice. There you are.
Can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you really good.
All
You
right.
don't have to if it's a problem, but do you have the ability to turn the fan off? It just
Oh,
creates a little wind noise every now and then. It's not bad though. If it's like super hot in there, it's not a bad noise. Like it's not
that's not.
audible.
Yeah. So your sounds kind of wavy, to be honest.
Oh, does it?
Yeah.
All right, let me
There you go. Sound a little bit better.
okay. Let me know if it's still wavy in a second if it doesn't stabilize. I don't hear it wavy, but chat, let me know if it's wavy. And then if it is, I can like log out. I think I should be able. Yeah, I should be able to log out and come back in.
Hold on, Marlene has some tools here.
She's the smart computer person.
Yeah.
Does my voice still sound wavy on your end?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, sometimes it's just weird with connection issues and stuff. Look at that, getting professional now.
Look at that, dude. No,
Look at that, dude. Your voice is like Mega Man voice now. um,
um, you still sound choppy.
I still sound choppy. I'm looking if there's a way I can easily see how you log out and log back in, but I'm not sure how I do. So let me see something here.
And it only did it when we went onto the tablet.
Oh, gotcha. Let me see. So I think a couple people are saying that that my sound is okay. So I apologize if I just have to be an annoying sound for you. Um, I might. I don't think. I've never tested this, so I'm worried to like end the stream or like log out and try to log back in because I've never done it on my end. I'll have to like experiment with that. Is it bearable? The sound
No,
quality is
not
bad.
really.
Okay, let me just try it then. And it should stay active. I'll come back right now.
Okay. Oh man, that was yeah. I could forward this. Edgar, you're welcome. Follow my Dragons AZ.
How you doing there?
Oh, dude, that's way better.
Nice. Okay, sweet. So I now know that I can just log out, log back in, and everything will be the same. That's the
Yeah.
really cool thing about this streaming platform is like even if both of us got disconnected, it keeps the platform active with like the guests and stuff for like a certain period of time. I forget how long that period of time is, but what were we talking about a second ago?
We were talking about the morph, the zero
Oh yeah.
morph, and
Um, do you think now this is going to be a little bit of like a fantasy or kind of like a wish thing, but do you think that that you might see more mutations of bearded dragons popping out in the near future? And if so, do you have any idea based off the way like other species work? Do you have any idea of like what a mutation might be, like albino or something like that? You know?
so there's been a few cases of albino bearded dragons, but
Really?
yeah, yeah. So a while ago there was some, but they never made it to like adulthood, right? So they
They
died
don't
in
thrive.
yeah, they didn't thrive. So they died in the early stages of life. But recently, I think a breeder in I want to say Thailand, um, I want to say Thailand, produced some and was selling them,
Okay.
but that was a big risk, you know.
Yeah. Do you
So
know where I can see pictures of that?
um,
Or did he have pictures like on the public web about it?
it was on Instagram, but I don't remember his Instagram. I have to go through it.
Okay, yeah, no
Um,
worries. Maybe if it happens to come to mind. but I'd love to see that an albino bearded dragon. So what I was mentioning, I think, as we got disconnected before, was there's certain mutations that seem to not want to thrive or pop out in certain species. So I'll give an example.
Hmm.
In leopard geckos, albino runs rampant, so
Yeah.
much to the point where there's three different kinds of albino,
Yeah.
and it works really well in leopard geckos. But crested geckos have no albino,
Yeah.
and we don't know if it will pop out. But I'm hesitant because it doesn't seem that like albino would be a good mix for crested geckos in the same way that albino is like not a good mix for bearded dragons, but albino works for ball pythons and
Yeah.
Burmese pythons and reticulated pythons and leopard geckos, but it doesn't work for some species. It's kind
Yeah.
of weird, but that's why I kind of asked if like you had an idea of like what might work for bearded dragons that you might think,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, and I don't know what's coming up with bearded dragons. Like if there's any signs of anything else coming up. I think that like species like bearded dragons, ball pythons, leopard geckos, those are really worked. Like and by that I mean a lot of people work with them. A lot of people have been mutating them, right? So
Yeah,
I think those species are ahead of like crested geckos or tegus. Like tegus were morphless for a while, right? Until
true,
albino
true.
popped
Yeah,
out, and then anery popped out, and then with those it created snows. So I think that these species, like I just mentioned, are ahead. So maybe they are indicators for other species of what's coming. Like if people continue working with tegus, they might get a translucent tegu or a
yeah,
hypotranslucent tegu. Kind of like in iguanas too. Like there's those
true.
translucent iguanas, green iguanas, translucent, or albino iguanas, things like that. So
I think one of the things this just kind of came to mind, but one of the features that seems like it that might work and be able to thrive in like bearded dragons might be like an increasing melanin gene. Like, have you heard of that in red-tailed boas? They have what's called the IMG, where like they hatch out dark and then they get black, like full on black as adults. It's just the melanin increases
yeah,
darker and darker and darker. And bearded dragons, it doesn't seem like the albino will thrive. So maybe the
the melon.
IMG, the opposite
Yeah,
side, will thrive. Yeah.
yeah, and that would be cool. And that's maybe what we're seeing with these
Oh,
red
the darker,
monster.
like the red
Yeah,
monster stuff.
because man, some of those that are not hypo, that are just like eat like double hets or just a no morph visual dragon. They're super super dark. So the black is like extremely, and even their shed when they shed out, their shed
Yeah.
is dark.
Oh, that's
It's
crazy.
it's cool. I got to take a picture of that one day.
Yeah, that would
So
be a good Instagram post.
yeah,
I noticed that people like silly things on Instagram, like when you make your bearded dragon lick your nose, or I did
yeah,
a video the other day of just a little leopard gecko falling out of the tub that I had it in. Immediately got like way more views than me showing like my best quality animal. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
people just like the dorky stuff. But
yeah. That's true.
so Bam Bam on screen says, "Do you feed roaches, or how, or what variety? What's your feeding regimen like for the dragons?" And I apologize, I have an old man's prostate. I'm gonna let you answer that and take a leak, and I'll be right back.
You broke the seal, dude.
I broke it.
Okay, so it's a variety that I feed. Roaches, superworms, crickets are like my go-to. Um, and then of course greens. There's a pretty big selection of greens: mustard greens, dandelion greens, turnip greens, collard greens. That's like one of the staples. Um, so yeah, and then as far as like schedule goes, babies they'll get proteins, being bugs every day, twice a day, and then they'll also get greens every day. I throw them in there even if they're not going to eat them. I just want want them to be introduced to the greens. But as adults, I only feed protein like every other day. But greens, I offer greens every day. So, yeah, adults don't need that much. And in fact, um, if you feed too many bugs, they get diseases, you know. Like if we
Oh,
eat
like
too
gout
many, yeah, if we eat too many
pathogens
like
or
Big Macs, we'll get sick, you know.
yeah, yeah. No, I hear you. I think people are always trying to not only increase knowledge, but figure out different ways of doing things. I actually listened to some Australian guy, and you never know the credibility or whether this person is like onto something or not. But I listened to an Australian guy who actually, he's out in Australia, so he has bearded dragons. He breeds them captively. He knows them in the wild and stuff. Um, and he seems to think that, at least for the bearded dragons that he keeps, that he doesn't even need to feed his adults vegetables. He just does insects on a regular basis, but he might not feed as frequently. So, like, instead of feeding your bearded dragon vegetables every other day or every day, he might feed insects to his adult dragon like once a week or twice a week, but like less amount. That way it doesn't build up those diseases or like fatty liver disease or issues like that.
Mm.
Um, what do you think about that? What do you think of like just feeding adults insects?
Well, so I wouldn't do it. So they get a lot of their moisture, a lot of their hydration from their greens too.
Yeah,
Um, so that's interesting that he wouldn't feed any greens. But I mean, to each their own. I'm open-minded, you know.
yeah.
So if it works for him, then maybe he's onto something. Um, but I
But you know
feed
what
mine.
works for you, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So like whatever works for everybody, but the way I do it
Let me,
works for me.
how many bugs does a adult bearded dragon need that's breeding and that's not breeding
Mm.
every week?
Yeah, that's a big difference. Big difference. So adult dragon that's not breeding, just a pet. Um, you'll want to feed like if you're gonna do dubia roaches, just do like 4 to 5 dubia roaches every you know 2-3 days, really.
Adult
Um,
roaches, like adult
yeah,
males or something like
adult
that?
roaches, yeah. And then the next time do some super worms, maybe 5, 6, 7 super worms. If you're gonna do crickets, you're gonna want to do more because they're smaller. Um, and then I personally like to offer greens every day, you know?
Nice. I
Yeah.
know.
Now
I
if
remember
it's
you telling me, yeah, mustard
yeah,
greens and stuff like that.
yeah. Now if it's a breeding female, males, I mean whatever, they could eat the same um whenever.
They're not
But
producing eggs. Yeah.
right, if it's a female that is producing eggs or follicles or getting ready for breeding season, um, then I feed them a lot more protein. And in fact, if if they just laid, I sometimes even give them a pinky, a rat pinky.
Nice.
So,
Yeah, that'll work good. The bearded dragon I got from you, I do the same thing with that bearded dragon. Because we have the rat operation over here, so I
yeah,
have the ability to give her the pinky rats and stuff. And I just keep her as a pet, but I kind of monitor like her body size as far as to determine how many bugs she needs. And I'm really
yeah,
sporadic with my feeding. Like I might be like, okay, I feed her every 3 days this time, or every other day this time, or something like that, and just kind of like mix it up and stuff like that.
yeah.
Um, so we had a quick question. This is a common question for bearded dragons. How do you get them to eat their greens? Do you experience stubborn green eaters in babies, juveniles, and or adults? And can you speak to that for a second?
Um, so it starts when they're little, like
Okay.
breeders should be introducing them to greens as babies. And then it's just easier for them growing
Stay
up,
on it. Yeah.
yeah, to stay on it. But one tip that I got a long time ago, and it's worked for me, and I give this tip out when people ask me is add cilantro to whatever greens you're feeding them because cilantro is really no believe it or not, I did the same thing. I
Yeah, yeah.
laughed, you know. Some salsa in
Cilantro.
there, but you throw some cilantro into their greens, um, then that will create, like the smell, and then they get attracted to it.
Wow, that's okay. So that's a great pro tip right there. Cilantro on the salad.
Yeah.
Um, and like you said, if you just offer it to them, then at least, do you have any dragons that will like all out reject vegetables?
I don't.
Like adult dragons. Okay, so
I
so
don't. All of
you're
mine
you're
will
all
tear them
about
up.
develop good habits from the start,
Yeah.
if you can. Would you ever recommend if somebody's dragon is not eating greens? Would you ever recommend? Forgive me for putting it this harshly. Would you ever recommend starving that animal until it eats greens?
Yes, yes. And I've done this before too. I bought some dragons, like, adults before, and they were not very good at eating greens. So yeah, and I wouldn't say starve them, right? Like, you don't go let them
Don't
go,
feed them
like,
as much insects, maybe
but
just like a couple or something.
well, just let them go, let them get hungry, for a
Yeah,
minute, and
yeah.
then
No
and
dinner for you
then
tonight.
yeah, yeah. So let them get
And how
hungry,
how
and
long
then
would you wait? Like, would you not feed for 2 days, 3 days, and wait until you're like, okay, here's a super worm, or would you just wait a week and or
I'd go like 2 weeks,
nice, okay,
2 weeks, and then let
discipline.
them.
That's discipline right there.
Yeah, let them
Yeah,
get hungry.
yeah, and people also don't realize that reptiles are, especially the bearded dragons, leopard geckos, crested geckos. They're very resilient towards building up their nutritional levels and storing that stuff. So,
Hmm.
like, you might think 3 days to a bearded dragon is a lot without food, but in reality, in the wild,
It's normal.
why don't you do this? Talk about hibernation for a second. In the wild, a bearded dragon would not eat for what, maybe 2-3 months hibernating in
No, I mean,
or
yes,
brumating. I mean,
mermaid,
in
but man, they could go 6 7 months without eating, and but what happens is that when they're in brumation, their system is like on pause,
everything
right?
slows. Yeah,
So, and that's in the cold, right? So it's like they're not digesting anything. They're not going to brumate in the summer or in the hot
right.
months because they're going to digest their food. But they could go, if it's a cold season, they could go from November all the way to like March,
Yeah,
without any food.
they're very resilient. I had a
Yeah,
leopard gecko like that went. I think it was, I don't know. We just hit breeding season, and this was a young female, and for some reason she just didn't want to eat. She went 6 months without eating. She was starting to get really skinny, and then out of nowhere, she just started eating, and she put on all her weight in 1 week. It's crazy, but leopard
yeah,
geckos, they store the fat in the tail
yeah,
and all
until,
that stuff.
but
But
and that has happened with dragons too, where you'll get a 5 6, no, maybe younger, like 3 4 month old bearded dragon, and it just hatched in that like sweet spot where, um, in the cold it's only 4 months old and it goes into brumation as a baby, which isn't common, but it happens.
yeah.
And this dragon goes 4 months without really eating too much, and then all of a sudden it snaps out, and then it starts eating a ton and grows to normal size in that season.
Now, do you
So
brumate your adults every year for breeding?
I do, yeah, yeah. You kind of
And
have
how
to.
long is that for you personally?
They're all different. Every dragon is different, but
Oh,
they
okay.
go from, usually, and it kind of happens naturally too because the garage gets a little bit cooler,
Uh-huh.
in the winter, so it kind of promotes them to all start going down for brumation. But usually, starting in like September, they start slowing down and eating less, and by like late October, early November, they're out, and then they'll be sleeping till like January, late January, early February.
Isn't that
So
crazy how in Arizona, a place that gets so hot, you actually have to worry about it getting too cold
yeah,
for your
yeah,
reptiles? Sometimes I trip out on that. Like last year, I keep the tegus outside until it starts. Well, this last year, I was a little bit like stretched thin on my time and everything. So I actually didn't bring them into the garage until it was consistently hitting 50 or below.
Yeah.
But this year, I'd rather bring them in at like 55. As soon as it's consistently 55, I want to bring them into the garage. And believe it or not, I give them blankets because I don't know if you remember, but a couple years ago, I had an issue with the hay. I think they
Yeah.
were getting dust in their nose and they started
Yeah.
like getting respiratory issues over winter, and I had no heating for them. And
That's
I
true.
would
I
put
do
them out
remember.
in the, yeah, and so now I don't have any issues with them. It just seems like the heat and everything from summer is able to help them heal. And I didn't have this issue last winter because I chose not to use hay. You know what I do for them? I throw a couple scraggly towels in there. I just give
Dude,
them
that's
towels
perfect.
to brumate in. Yeah.
That's perfect.
So no
I like
dust.
to so Jesse from Jesse's Jungle taught me a long time ago to use some substrate because it helps them with like stuck shed, you know.
Yeah.
Um, so I do that, you know. I'll put in some cypress or something and keep it moist, and it
Yeah.
helps them.
I was trying to troubleshoot it with you, like, John, okay, my
Yeah.
garage gets like 45 degrees. Do you think it's the cold? Do you think it's the hay? And somebody recommended I was using straw. Straw is very, very dusty. And I was using
Yeah.
just straw, like not even. So Samantha DeMarco was recommending Timothy Hay instead. And like Rodriguez Reptiles was recommending Timothy Hay. And so I might experiment with that in the future again. But
Yeah.
the towels worked, and I was like, okay, I'm good. And I also figured too, towels actually hold in heat. So like if the animal, did you know that they discovered brew mating tegus actually can increase their body temperature? Like they
I've seen that.
discovered that recently. So
Yeah.
I was like, okay, if they can increase their temperature, maybe the towels will keep them a little bit warmer. Just theories of
Like
mine.
insulation. I
But yeah,
did I
like
did
insulation
I
a
did
little
see
bit.
that article where they have like an internal like heater where it
Yeah.
keeps them from dying in their natural habitat.
Yeah, it keeps them from dying. Is crazy. I have to learn more about that. It might be only when they have like food in their stomach, so their body's able digesting like a mammal and creating a little bit of heat. It might not be because you know that we're not supposed to brumate our tegus with food in them
Yeah, yeah.
because they can retain that poop and
And die.
or
Yeah.
yeah, and die. So
hmm
anyway, okay, one more question real quick before we get to like a couple fun wrap-up questions. What species do you work with now? Have you downsized a little bit, or like what are some of the species that you currently work and breed with at this time besides bearded dragons?
So of course bearded dragons, and then I have banana pectinatus, spiny tail iguanas.
Oh, cool stuff.
I have a decent little group of those, and I just had babies of those too, so I have a few babies. And then
No kidding.
um, I have another species of spiny tail called conspicuosa. I don't know if you've ever heard of them, Senesteban.
I remember you telling me about them, but
Yeah,
yeah,
and then I still have the Baker Eye,
the
which is
Baker
another.
Eye, the blues, the Baker Eye
Yeah,
blues.
and then I have the geckos. I have crested geckos, gargoyle geckos, um, and then what other species do I have? I have the tegus with Jesse. So Jesse and
Tegus.
I have a few tegus together.
Is he
Um,
moving to Texas now? He made a move, or
yeah, he's no longer in Florida for now. You know, so he's
did he do that to save business? Like he really wants to still do reptiles full time
yep,
or something? Or
yep. Yeah, they have
really?
that stupid thing going on over there in Florida. So
Yeah,
yep,
they're
yeah,
they're facing the
yeah. I mean, he
heat right
wants to.
now.
A lot of these breeders are leaving, but he wants to be back in Florida, but it's just
Not possible.
not a good time right now.
Um, how is he? This just you can answer it however you want. How do you think he views the competition in Texas with like Rose City Reptiles out there? And I mean, Florida's probably the biggest competition for Tegu breeders, and he was making it, so Texas shouldn't be
I
a problem.
honestly, I don't know. I mean, I don't think the local competition is going to be an issue. You know,
Yeah, and with
it's
Florida going down, I think there's actually going to be a shortage, so to speak. The supply will be lower than the demand for
well,
tegus across the United States.
hopefully. I mean, we'll see because this year it seems like, or even last year with all these things looming in the air, about them going away or whatever. Um, I feel like the market for tegus has definitely dropped. You know, like
Mm,
nobody wants to start a tegu breeding project if they're gonna get
that's
banned.
true.
You know.
Yeah,
But to answer your question, I really don't know. I mean, Jesse's a cool dude, and
yeah,
he's
he'll
not
be
like
fine.
he's not a competitive dude. I think that he just wants to be everybody's friend.
Dude, he was competing against the biggest breeders in Florida,
Yeah,
and if he could make it out there
yeah,
competing against those guys for years, there's no issue. And I don't
yeah,
necessarily mean competition in a bad way. We all know that the more breeders there are, the more people are getting the hobby out there.
right.
So actually, I wasn't going to ask this to you, but this just came to mind. When are you going to start a YouTube channel to
You've
teach
asked me
people
this.
the?
You've asked me that before, dude.
Yeah.
I have people tell me that all the time. Like my buddy Rob, he's like, dude, you should do a YouTube channel, and I'm like, man, like I should because
Yeah.
I have a decent following, I think it'd be pretty entertaining, but I don't know if I'm disciplined enough to like, okay, every Wednesday get on and make it an episode. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, it's that. So here's the thing. I'll give you one little just thought off the top of my head. If you create a YouTube channel, you don't have to be necessarily consistent with your content if you create educational content.
Yeah,
And so if you create content that's like what to feed a baby bearded dragon, as soon as that goes up into YouTube's algorithm, it's going to start recommending that to people that are searching for that answer. And
yeah,
if your video becomes really popular, it will stay on the top video recommendations forever, even if that's your only video. So like there's some leopard gecko breeders that have like one video from like 20 years ago that has like 100,000 views on it just because it was a topic that somebody wanted to see. So a
yeah,
little bit of encouragement, you could release videos at whatever pace you want as long as they're educational videos that people will always be searching for,
yeah.
you
And they'll
know,
stay relevant. Yep, yep,
and they'll stay relevant. Yeah.
yep.
And I think
Yeah,
that's needed because when I search for like how to breed bearded dragons, how to feed bearded dragons, there's actually not that many creators educating on it.
and I
Um,
wonder if that's because I hate to say this, but it's a pretty toxic
it's
community.
oh
You know what I
maybe.
mean? Like the way you do things could get could get you judged, and
Oh yeah,
if somebody doesn't share your same point of view on things, you know. So
they'll
I don't know if
crucify
that's
you.
exactly if that's the reason. So
Well, we see some of that toxicity in the Facebook groups and stuff like that, right?
yeah, yeah.
And that's for a lot of different species. But one of the biggest, I would say, bearded dragon influencers, I would say, is do you know the Canadian guy? Oh shoot, why is his name facing on me right now? Lord Lion. Um, maybe you're not much on YouTube, but
No.
Lord Lion, he's a big influencer for bearded dragons, and he does educational and entertainment videos. But
Hmm.
um, even he isn't releasing like educational stuff on a consistent basis anymore. But he blew up to like 100,000 followers, and I think one of the reasons is because there's not a lot of bearded dragon educational content out there. So that's why I was encouraging you just to start making little videos here and there on topics, just because I think it would start if you did it right. And if that time comes, I could share with you the fast track of like how to do it right and how to
Yeah.
get publicity and that kind of stuff. But if you do it right, I think those videos would just stay relevant and keep bringing you followers, even if you only did them once a month or once every 2 months or something like
Yeah.
that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. It's something to think about, and maybe even try. And if
Yeah,
I'm not big on camera. Like lately, I've been doing some lives on Instagram with
I've
a
seen
couple
that. Yeah,
people.
I've never
Uh,
even done an Instagram live. I don't know the first thing about it. I just stick to YouTube.
really, it's easy. They're
Yeah,
easy. You just go live and that's it. But but what point was I gonna make
the live,
about?
making a
Oh yeah,
YouTube
about
channel.
me being like big on camera. I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm not that great. I just don't like it too much, to be honest with you. Like,
No, I hear you. It's yeah.
like you hear yourself talk, you're just like, ugh, that's how I
Yeah.
sound? Yeah.
But if the time comes, just know that it's really simple. You just look up topics that people want to know about and you educate on it. And you're very knowledgeable. So just let your experience do the work. Don't worry about like showing your face and all that. You can even like show your dragons, you know? I think the biggest thing for creating a YouTube channel today versus 10 years ago is attention span. With TikTok and Instagram Reels, the attention span of people is like that. So like
Yeah, it's
I just
dropped.
released a video today. If you get the chance to watch it, you will see that every 5 to 10 seconds, I'm changing the direction of the camera, the room that I'm in, the way that I'm facing, because that will help keep retention span for the minds of people nowadays. People might want to be educated, but they also have a shorter attention span just from all the media that we're consuming. And so if you kind of know that little hack a little bit, that helps. So
Hmm.
like if you're showing one baby bearded dragon tank and then you show another and then you show your face and then you show another, all of those scene changes helps keep people more in tune. But
Yeah, that makes total sense. Yeah, for sure.
well, I don't want to keep you too much longer. So I got a couple fun wrap-up questions. I appreciate the 2 hours that you've spent with us so far, even through all the troubleshooting and all that kind of stuff. Um, it
Yeah, no
seems like our
problem.
connection is really good now. You know what it could also be is the amount of people that are on like the Cox or whoever your internet service provider is, the amount of people that are on at like prime time, like 5 o'clock to like 9 o'clock or whatever, that could be like overloading the Cox like
Yeah, because it got a little
system.
bit later, and now
We got a little bit
it's
later
doing.
and now
Yep.
we're perfectly fine.
Yeah.
So a couple fun wrap up questions. What is your favorite reptile? It's a
Um,
I
that's
just
a
figured I'd
tough
throw that
one.
out there.
That's a tough one, but because I could appreciate different ones, but I'm gonna stick with bearded dragons.
You gotta go. That's clear,
Yeah.
right? That's almost like
Yeah.
evident in the name, and if you go to your social media. Now, in addition to your favorite reptile, if there was any one reptile that you could get that was not an issue, importation or whatever, what reptile would you get and keep?
I've been asked this before, and there's a bunch of stuff that I like, but there is a Australian water dragon, um, and I'm not gonna remember the name. It starts with a G.
Hmm.
But it's a different like locale, but it's an Australian water dragon that is like blue and green.
Oh.
Um, yeah, dude, it's amazing. So if I could get that over here, that would be it.
Are you still doing the red Aussies, the red Aussie water dragons, the big ones?
I just recently sold them.
Why
I
did you
like
decide to move off of that project?
I like I like them. They're super cool. Hopefully I could get back into them one day, but um, I just have to allocate for stuff that I like more. So I really
Yeah,
like my spiny tail iguanas. I like
gotcha.
the adaptability of them here. So they live outside. They year round. So I like that about them. The water dragons were too, but they were kind of high maintenance outside because I had to change the water. I had a big tub.
Oh,
I had to
that's
change the
true.
water
Yeah.
because of mosquitoes, and so
Now that
yeah.
brings a thought to mind: is do the iguanas not require as much humidity or as much water changes to shed well than the water dragons did?
Yeah, so the water dragons would basically be in their water bowl all day and then
They really
sleep.
need that. Okay.
They sleep underwater. They were just a very aquatic species. Um, and the iguanas don't. I mean, they have the little water bowl that gets filled up with the sprinklers.
Yeah.
And then I just go in there and dump it out every so often. And then when the sprinklers turn back on, which they turn on like 4 times a day,
Yeah.
then it just fills back up, and that system that I have going is working for me, and it's
Yeah, because
it's just
the pectinata
yeah.
is a species that is typically more like it's in more arid environments, right? Like there's a bunch of pectinata in
Correct.
Mexico and stuff,
Yeah.
right? Like Latin
Yeah.
America. So
Yeah.
like Arizona's perfect.
Yeah, I mean, and I do raise their humidity by turning the sprinklers on so much, um, so
Oh, that's
so
cool.
it works. It's perfect for them. The conspicuosas are more of a even more arid. They're like
Nice.
an island off of like Baja. So you think of like Cabo, Cabo San Lucas. You think of that environment, and it's not too far off from here. You know.
Wow. That's pretty cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll probably get into some pectinatas in the future and hit you up.
They're fun.
um, I kind of like you. I had to get to the point where I was like, okay, let me be successful here before expanding out too much
Yeah.
because there's so much I need to do at this stepping stone in the business and in the hobby before I can move on to other things because
Hmm.
I'm still a reptile enthusiast at heart. There's still so
Yeah.
many reptiles I want to keep and get into, but I had to
Yeah.
tell myself, Frank, stay
Yeah.
focused, be successful here
Yeah.
first.
You gotta hone it down, hone it in. Like you can't get too crazy. And I do this all the time. I'm like, I want to work with this. I want this. I want
Same.
this. You know. And I
And then you
end
have
up
to downsize, right?
and I get them, and then I'm just like, oh man, I shouldn't have done that. Like
Yeah,
I
and then
just
you upsize, downsize,
yeah.
upsize,
And I
downsize.
feel bad because I had these the Australian water dragons. I've had them since they were little babies. I
Yeah,
raised
I
them up. They're
remember the
adults.
show
They're
you got them
adults.
at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're adults now, and they're beautiful. They're nice. They're friendly. But they
So
were
you
just
did get rid of them, or you still have them?
no, they're gone. But the
Yeah.
good thing is that they're over at a buddy's now, and they're
Oh,
in
good.
California at a buddy's house, and he's going to continue the project.
Oh,
So
nice. Well,
yeah,
that's really cool.
yeah,
Um, and then yeah, because I remember when I first met you too, you had downsized the Ackies out of the equation, and that's when
yeah, and I really loved the Ackies too while I
I
had
know
them.
they're
I
really
had them for
cool.
like 4 years, and they bred for me. They were doing super good. But
Just
again,
time restraint, right?
yeah, just another one of those like you get to pick your favorites, and you're just like, okay, Ackies, you guys are down here now. You guys got to go.
Yeah. No, I hear you. What is your favorite thing about the reptile hobby? And it could be about your specific niche, the bearded dragon, or just the hobby in general. But what do you like
My
most about the hobby?
So, what's fun? The funnest thing to me is just improving, like like getting something that I started with that was orange, brownish, and then just improving it. So just I guess the product that I'm putting out, just seeing how it's improved and the growth. That's my favorite part of breeding, of
Yeah,
keeping and all that. So I
because
would say that.
nowadays, if somebody wants to get into anything, well, I shouldn't say anything. If someone wants to get into bearded dragons or leopard geckos, you could start off at the top, right? Like
Yeah,
you could buy the best quality stuff, so you didn't have to put in the time to make it. But for someone like you who are saying, yeah, I started out with less than orange bearded
yeah,
dragons, and now I'm at bright red bearded
yeah.
dragons. That for you to
And
actually experience that is really cool.
Yeah, and I mean, so a lot of breeders do that, and these guys, I feel they're more after like the
Clout, the
clout,
popularity.
they're more after that instead of the like the how would I say it, like the achievement, right? They're more
Mm,
into like being
popular.
recognized than yeah, being popular basically. And I don't like that. I could go straight to the top two. It's not like a financial burden. I could go and just go buy the top stuff, and then but you miss like those like steps, and it kind of just takes away from the actual like funness.
Yeah, that's a great word on achievement and progress
Yeah,
and goal setting to
yeah,
make that part of the hobby as well
yeah,
and not just about having the best animal or
yeah,
at this very moment, but working towards that and then
yeah.
expanding that vision to other
Right.
lines and combinations. So really cool.
Yeah.
Now a couple unrelated fun questions for reptiles. What's your favorite type of food to eat?
Food, just in general.
Yeah, is it like
Dude,
crickets or mealworms or dubia?
wait.
No,
What?
no, I'm joking.
I'm gonna say
Rapashi
you.
grub. No, favorite food.
Probably,
Like, is it like Mexican food or Italian food or
dude. I don't know. Like right now,
yeah?
if
You
it's
want a taco
cold,
right now?
yeah, like probably tacos and chicken wings. Dude, chicken wings. No, but like
Okay,
I'm really into Asian food. I really like all that. Basically anything Asian food except for like dogs and stuff. Um,
okay.
but like I like sushi. I like Vietnamese pho soup. I like just a bunch of different stuff.
Okay, so your favorite kind of genre of food is right now is
I
Asian.
would say so. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I mean, you got to look forward to stages in life. I heard, who was it? You know who Ty Park is in Florida? He has Iguana Land. He's like,
absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. He was talking on a podcast where, old ancient Asian wisdom. His dad told him, "Look, son, there are stages in life. There's the stage of growing up. There's the stage of working hard. There's the stage of raising a family. Then there's the stage of like after raising a family." And it really got me thinking, like, you know what? I need to start thinking of life as more of stages because then you can look forward to things and not be like, oh, I peaked here. Like I peaked at 34 and I've achieved everything I wanted to achieve. No,
Yeah.
this is just like one stage.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're going to move into different stages to look forward to. So,
Dude, that's
like
absolutely
your
correct.
your food can move through stages too.
That's
But
absolutely correct, man. You know?
old Asian wisdom, man. You can't. They've been around for thousands of years before
Yeah.
America was even. So,
So you
um,
never peak. You just change stage,
you
right?
just change stage, yeah, and then eventually your stage is digressing
Yeah,
back to
that's another
diapers
stage.
or whatever.
That's
But
the
that's
final
another.
stage.
That's a extremely humility stage because now like you might be at a point where you're being taken care of in a nursing home and like you have to be okay with that. You know what I mean? Like you have to be at the point where you're okay with like not being able to do things that you were once able to do, even mobility functional things.
I'm okay with that now.
Yeah, I hear you. On the genre category, a couple more here is what's your favorite movie genre to watch?
Probably comedy movies. No, I
Okay.
take that back. No, I take that back. I like like Jason Bourne movies, so like thrillers, action packed movies. I like
Yeah,
those.
mystery solving stuff,
Yeah,
kind of suspense. Um,
yeah.
yeah, and I try to stay away from all the negative stuff, but this is an easy one. What is your least favorite genre movie?
I'm gonna say scary movies. And
Okay.
it's not because I don't like them, but like my whole family doesn't like them, and nobody will watch them with me.
I have to show him because he said something earlier. So Norman is 70 years old in the house, and he was talking to me. He's reinvigorating his passion for reptiles. He's owned pet stores when he was younger, and now he's really getting back into it with his grandchildren and starting to breed and get into genetics and have fun with it.
It's
So
never too late, huh?
that just shows you it's never too late. He's getting
That's
back into
awesome.
it. There's always things to look forward to. So I had to
That's
flash
cool,
some
Norman.
credit there.
Good job.
So least favorite genre movie, scary. You probably like the movies that make fun of scary movies then. Like
Like, yeah, what are
yeah,
those movies? It was like
I
five,
think
six
it's called
different movies.
Scary Movie. Yeah, like
It
Scary
is, huh?
Movie
Yeah,
1, 2,
yeah,
and it's just making fun of scary movies.
yeah. Those are pretty
Um,
funny.
That's pretty funny. So, John, you've given us so much of your time tonight. I'm really appreciative. I just want to end it on, is there anything you'd like to say to the people that watch this, that have been with us for these last 2 hours or that will watch this back? This is your time just to close with some thoughts towards that.
I would say follow my page, Instagram, Facebook, and then any questions that you guys have on Bearded Dragons, feel free. I'm an open book, so
Yeah, and you're super
ask away.
helpful. I can definitely attest to that. You've answered lots of questions for me. So your social media tags again are, what are they?
At Extreme Dragons AZ, both of them. So they're both like
Extreme
that.
Dragons AZ, Facebook and
Yeah.
Instagram. And you're one of the, since you're kind of like, I'll call you an OG, you've been around for a few years. You are one of the few breeders that actually have a successful Facebook page. Breeders like myself who are newer to the hobby, we don't put any time into Facebook, and we're struggling to keep up with breeders like you who are actually successful on Facebook. And as much as people want to give Facebook crap or negativity for being like a drama, it is one of the biggest places to gather
Yeah,
customers and promote your name. And I
yeah.
do have to say that no matter what. So a part of me is jealous. But I love my YouTube and my Instagram. That's where I want to put my time. But a part of me is jealous that I don't have a big Facebook following, and I don't even know the first thing about growing a Facebook following and all of that. But congratulations to you. You're successful on Facebook, and we
Cool.
keep that
Thank you.
going
Thank
strong
you.
for you. Yeah, so Facebook, Instagram, Extreme Dragons AZ, and now you have your website as
Yep.
well, which
Yep.
is up
So
and
that's
running.
pretty new. Maybe about a year, maybe a little less than a year or a year, well,
Yeah,
roughly.
it's
So
looking good. It's really easy to navigate through. I was going to tell you,
thank you. Thank you.
it's an easy
Yeah.
website.
So there's care sheets on there. You know, a lot of people have questions about care. I put a pretty good care sheet on there. Probably gonna upload one a little bit more detailed about like feeding and stuff. And
Yeah, or
then
you could just make a YouTube channel. Just kidding.
I could. Yeah, that's a good idea.
Even if you make a YouTube channel, you still have to put all that stuff on your website to drive traffic. So it's like
Yeah,
twice as much work. So, but
yeah,
the care sheets and stuff, you guys heard it. He's got the care sheets and information. And you could message him on Messenger or Instagram. I know that you're really respectful and responsive towards any thought, like questions that people have. You're not somebody to like look down upon somebody for having what would be considered a
no, yeah,
dumb question by other people. You're there
yeah,
just to receive it, not pass judgment, and help people. So
yeah.
Bam Bam says, thank you, John. I learned a lot. Norman, well done. Enjoyed this. So I think we'll go ahead and end it there. I really appreciate
Cool.
it, John.
Thank you
I'm
guys.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and in a second here, I'm gonna exit, end the stream, and it's gonna play our outro. And from there, you could just click the leave button, or you know what I mean, however you were doing it.
Cool.
But really appreciate your time tonight, brother. Thank you so much.
Thanks,
I look
man.
forward to seeing the expansion of the China monsters mixed with Mega Man. And so please, guys, go ahead and support John, and feel free to reach out and ask some questions as you have need. So
Awesome.
thank you
I
so much.
appreciate it.
Enjoy the rest of your night, brother. Get some Chinese food in here or something. Now you
Hell
got me
yeah.
hungry. I'm like, okay, what's open right now? 9 o'clock? Can I go to the Chinese place down the street?
You
So
could.
thanks, brother. I appreciate you. I'll talk to you soon.
All
Okay.
right. Take care.
All right, bro. Have a good night.
You too.
Peace.
Peace.
Selling in the billions each year, Rainbow Mealworms is your one-stop shop for all your insect needs. Their quality feeders and A-plus customer service keep me coming back to support the health and growth of all of our animals. Visit them today at rainbowmealworms.net to place your order.